Hey everybody, I got something I want to talk about, and I'm really excited about it and it's really cool, but before we get into that, I want there to be, you know what the subject is, you've seen the title and thumbnail, right? You know what we're talking about today, but before we get to any of that, let's just make a deal, an arrangement, you and I. Most videos that I watch and try to make have some level of at least quasi-intelligence behind it. Maybe some research has been done. Maybe I know what I'm talking about. Here's an example. This camera I'm currently recording on, brand new to me. Just bought it. I bought it to make vlogs and continue doing what it is that I'm doing. But before I purchased this, because it was expensive, I did a bunch of research on it. So I could tell you about why I chose this model over something else. I could tell you more about, the entire thing, whether or not it was a good purchase, and if the money is well spent, hopefully that's going to be determined after purchasing it. But this is not about a camera. The point is that I did research and I learned, and I wanted to know about it before I jumped into this. And I could talk about cameras all the time, but that's not what we're doing today. We're talking about something different. And the difference there, and why I want us to come to an agreement, is to recognize up front, what I'm telling you is that I've done almost zero research into this next topic. I've been working on it for a few years, and I've been figuring it out as I go, making mistakes and learning from them. I've read a little here or there, but realistically, I'm not an authority on the subject. You're not going to probably learn anything from this, and you're talking to a guy, or you're listening to a guy talk who just is kind of figuring stuff out. And I like that, and I want to keep it that way. So just be cool in the comments, messaging me about it. I don't need to hear about it. I'm going to learn if I'm doing something wrong, which I probably am, realistically. That's cool. It's fine. You don't have to jump on and try to tell me the right way to do it, because I also don't like being told that I'm doing something wrong, even when I am doing it wrong. I like to figure it out on my own, and that's why I'm not going into this trying to heavily research a topic like I would for something else. This is a hobby that I'm just kind of figuring out. And I have read up a little bit, and I've been learning, and I kind of like that way of doing it, is reading the book. The books are very, the, the good books that I've read are very non-judgmental about it. Whereas, I'll tell a story later that will tell you why I feel this way, I guess. But let's get into it, yeah? Agreed? Yes? Good? Let's talk about plants. Also, take into account that plants, by their very nature, want sunlight. Sunlight is in the windows. There's a window right next to me. I can't point a camera out the window to show you the plants without also showing you what's outside the window. And then, one thing can lead to another. Maybe you can narrow down where I live based on what you see out the windows. We don't do that. So there's some things that I just can't really show you when it comes to everything. But there are some things that I can. Now, a little bit of backstory here when we just talk about plants in general. This was just something that I picked up a few years ago now. I don't remember exactly when. Looks like September or October 2023. I think a little bit before then. I made a video about it. If you want to go back and look, you can. This started with bonsai. Bonsai trees are really cool, and I very much am interested in bonsai trees in general, so that's where we kind of started, and it came from a coworker who does bonsai. Her and her husband grow bonsai like that's their thing. That I don't know how well to describe it without it being like they're bonsai people. If that, I don't like that either, but that's the kind of thing I think of, and maybe I don't like it because of that, where it's like you're just defining somebody all the way down to like people can be a wide range, right? And I'm not trying to pin someone into something, but like they have lots, hundreds it looks like, and that's their thing, and they really are really knowledgeable about it and go into it. And I learned a lot, and she showed pictures of like her house where she's able to plant some outside and have a greenhouse and all that. And I'm like, that's gorgeous, and all the different kinds, really cool. And I learned a lot from her. She kind of got it started. This also started because of a work program. I programmed through my work, through my job, because that's where she also works, obviously, where we talk about our dreams, and we set things that are realistic, and they provide financial support for stuff like that. Am I still coming through on focus? New camera, remember? We're kind of figuring it out. Anyway, so they bought me my first bonsai plant and have financially provided a lot of this journey as we go, some of it. And so that's where we got started. And I've made a video and I talked about that before. So if you want to see that, you can go back and check it out. But basically, in 2023, more than a year and a half ago, because we're in 2025 right now, I picked up a couple plants after I went and got a bonsai, and I went, well, that's cool. And let's see. I hope you can see. This is going to be the best way we're going to do this, because there's things here to like talk about and things to do, and it's not exactly the easiest and best way for me to put it on screen for editing later. But out on the porch, we have a bonsai over here, which I have a better picture of. That was the Scheffalera bonsai. But at the same time, I went in October to a Home Depot and I picked out two other plants that you can see here, right? A little bit closer on the tall one. And that one, my phone, I do have this written down so I can tell you exactly what they are. And I may have talked about this before, but since we're kind of starting over, the bonsai was a Scheffalera. More about that later. But this one, let's see, if we scroll down to the other kind that we have that are not that, the Ficus elastica. That's this guy right here. Not perfect. Bought it in October from Home Depot. It is what it is. It was on clearance, and that's why I bought it. It's got yellowing around the edges, and, you know, the leaves are what they are, but we'll see it later. It's still around, still doing well. And then this one here, which we also will see later, big leaves in a pot with that stuff. This one was the Zamioculcas chameleon? Sure. That's another thing that you'll have to understand and bear with me on. I don't know the names of all these plants. We've expanded quite a bit, and we're going to talk about that, but I don't know what they are. I don't know the proper way to care for them necessarily, but I'm figuring it out, and I'm doing the best that I can. And yeah, we also have the Scheffalera here. It had lots and lots of leaves all over the place. A bunch of these bigger ones dropped off right away, which makes sense. And now the one thing that I have done, this we've kind of gone through, and I figured if we'd start at the beginning and just kind of give a whole thing. I also bought like some shrubs, because this was my idea, was like the shrubs were on sale because everything was very discounted, considering it was at that point October. I had yet to visit a garden center of any kind in a way where you could purchase things that were in season at that point. So I've learned, but you know, yeah, there was another one of the chameleon one, right? And that's not a super great photo. That one came out super bright, but then, you know, inside, I brought them inside. I had to bring them inside because it got too cold. It was winter and I expected to, but that's how we started. We started with one bonsai and just a couple houseplants to give me something. And I actually wound up doing, I don't think I have any photos of them, or if I did take photos, then too revealing. We'll just say it's that because I don't see any more. But those shrubs were ones that I attempted to shape and have them grow, and they did not last. That's a lot of what's happening here and what we're learning about. And plants come and go. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong with some of them, and some that I do, and some I can figure out, and we're just kind of doing what we can. And I talked about the one things that I have. I got a bonsai book, so I learned more specifically about bonsai, and I've read a couple. I've read some that were good and some that were not so good, on like what they kind of give for knowledge-wise, and more for houseplants. I started talking to one of my sisters about this, who, like, I didn't realize was just so into houseplants in general, and the idea of like plant jungle in your house and how much they decorate. She told me about a book that I've been reading. I'm still currently reading it, but I've already gained a ton of knowledge from it. It's, I don't have it in front of me and I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure the man who wrote it, his name is Daryl Chang, and I think it's called The House Plant Parent. It's something about Planned Parenthood, which is a funny play on words with planned. But anyway, I've been reading that. There's also a second one that I picked up digitally, and I've been reading them. I don't have my tablet in front of me, so I don't know exactly, but I've really been enjoying that book. He took it from a very different perspective, because a lot of what I read was simply things like basic instructions of bright indirect sunlight. Every plant needs bright indirect sunlight. What does that even mean? Or don't overwater. So then it makes you scared of watering, because the one thing I don't want to do is overwater. Everything I see is don't overwater. But what does that actually mean? That book has really broken it down into different ways, where he talks about like plants survive in better sunlight, better light conditions, and talking about light by foot candles as measurements, and it's a whole thing. It's really interesting, and it like how they, and when they start dropping leaves immediately, don't panic because you've brought it home out of an environment that they are cranking out like a plant farm, essentially, is the kind of thing where they are giving them the perfect conditions to grow them as quickly as possible because they're a business and they're trying to make money as much as possible. So you bring it home into less ideal conditions, and the shock of it being transported will drop leaves. That happens, and that's okay. And plants will take different shapes once they come home and they're in your home and how they do. So I've learned to be a lot more forgiving of that stuff and just seeing what we get. And some plants I've killed by accident, some I didn't pay enough attention to. Anyway, that was all the way back then. In 2024, we did have a couple more, and I think now we can get into talking about current bonsai. Let's pivot to doing that, because for the longest time, this has been bonsai focused entirely. And I have the bonsai, and I want to show you currently. First bonsai, right? We moved on a couple months later. I kept that bonsai alive. That was kind of my test, right? Can I keep a bonsai alive? And the Schefflera did stay alive. It has passed. I don't really have much to say about that, unfortunately. I did the best that I could right here. It lasted for several years. This was a more recent thing that happened. I don't know if I have pictures of it from later on in the plant journey of what's happening here. Let's see, would this be the only? Yep, there it is. So it definitely was doing well, I thought. I mean, its leaves have changed color dramatically. Let's see if you can see that. Hopefully you can. They are more darker, but it's sprouting new leaves all the time. It's doing that. And then one day I'm aerating the soil, which is something that I learned when you're going to water, was to use a chopstick and poke in the, make a couple little holes, aerate the soil. You want to move it around because soil will compact when you water it. That's something I learned, right? And I guess I pushed it too far and nicked the base of it. It started drying up and just not doing very well. And one day I was over there and I was looking at it and I touched it and it just immediately crumbled and broke. What are you going to do? Lesson learned, I suppose. Be more gentle, maybe. So the Schefflera was the oldest one. It no longer is with us with that. But back in, let's see, February, I got two. Let's see, from, yep, there we go. There's one here. Made another video about this. This was the second video. I don't think we've done another one since then, necessarily, at least not for the public, but we'll talk about that. But anyway, I kept one alive. The Schefflera was alive, so I got two more. One of them was sent, and again, this is a video on it, so just briefly covering. One of them was sent from the lady I talked about who got me into all of this, the bonsai place that she goes to back in Georgia. Really cool place. They sent a juniper because I was like, that's the thing that when I first saw a bonsai, it was from the Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi. That's what he was doing, was pruning and shaping, and that's what I wanted to do. And I did. This juniper didn't last. Again, maybe I trimmed it the wrong way. It just one day, it wasn't just one day, but it took time and I noticed it was going and I tried my best to do everything. It wasn't root rot as far as I can tell. That's the most common, is I overwater and then there's root rot, but it just wound up. I'm going to keep it. It's currently outside on the porch. I have a plan for that, but yeah. I think a dead tree can look interesting at the very least. That's what's happened there. That one is no longer with us, but the other one that I got from online. I started ordering bonsai online, and I plan to do more of that this year. The other one was over here. This one here came from a place online because I did not have a great experience at the local bonsai place that's here in Colorado, and I do not plan on going back to there, but a Golden Gate ficus. I ordered that online, read up about it, watered generously when the soil gets dry, mist daily, but not too much, fertilize every 2 weeks during the summer, every 4 weeks during the winter if the growth doesn't stop. Repot it during the spring every other year, something. So yeah, if you can kind of see, doing my best, this is what it looked like when it came in. Had lots of leaves and looked like that. And I have repotted it since then. The Golden Gate ficus. And here it is. It's still doing well, I think. Can we turn up the light here a little bit maybe so you can see a bit better? Or not. That's fine. Hopefully you can see as it is. It has sprouted many new leaves and is doing well. It just got a repotting. All the bonsais just got repotted, which is not really how it should be, but okay. I'm telling this out of order. The one major problem that we've really had has been bugs, gnats. They're annoying. Partner hates it. Can't have that. I've been doing everything I can. It was like, well, I learned where they came from, most likely overwatering, and especially when you pour water over the top, it wets the soil, and then they come out of the soil. They literally just spawn up and gnats will fly all over the place. And usually they're not harmful to the plants. There are bugs that are harmful, but that's not one of them, my understanding is. Again, I might be getting something wrong. I don't know. Anyway, what the biggest thing that I could do to combat that, one of the things I looked up was cinnamon. That was kind of what I did. I put fly strips. I made a water mixture that works with like vinegar and sugar. That does attract them. That works pretty well. Once they're up and flying, fly strips work pretty well. But it's a Band-Aid, right? It's not actually solving the problem. The problem is that they're coming out of the soil. So you'll notice on several of the ones we did, and especially the bonsais, I took care of that this past week. They've been repotted so that I could get rid of, as it turns out, cinnamon is very fine powder. And when you put that on top and then you continue watering over the top because you're me, it creates clumps and it just ruins the soil on the top and it just hardens everything down and then it doesn't go away. You just got to toss it from what I can tell. So all of our bonsais up until, and I was not ready to show them, there's not a lot of pictures of them because they don't look very good. The soil looks like I poured cinnamon on it. Hold on. If you can see this, here's one that I'm really sad about. We'll get to that one, but like, if you notice, if you can tell here, it's just orange all over it because you pour cinnamon all over it and then the wet hits it and it just clumps up together and it stays on there. So I'm going to try, cinnamon worked well though. It worked really well to help with the bugs, the gnats. So a better solution for that won't clump up is sand. And that's what we have here. We've put sand all over the Golden Gate ficus, a layer of sand on the top. That is one of the solutions. Another solution is the sand on the top, a coffee filter in the bottom, and you water it by soaking the pot. And that all the bonsais are getting soaking and misting as opposed to overwater pouring as much. I still pour a little bit so I can get the top, especially depending on some of the plants, but that's what I'm doing going forward. And we'll try the cinnamon at some point, and if I do the cinnamon, then I won't pour water over the top. The cinnamon will be the top layer, but we still have this one, the Golden Gate ficus. Let's talk about the next one. At that point, I did take another picture. That's a really blurry photo. That looks terrible. I have a couple. I did not vet these photos necessarily, more so than I just looked through them going, oh, okay. So yeah, I like the way that this thing has a curve to its trunk and it's still around as we were just looking at on the other camera. Cool. Shortly after that, okay, we're into March. In March, in this photo, which again, kind of poor lighting conditions, we had a couple other things that we ordered online and we can go through them. We've got a Chinese elm up here on the top that we will talk about. There's some bamboo that we'll talk about. There's an azalea that did not last. I don't know what to do about that. The azalea I had the most, trepidation about, I suppose, if that's the right way to use that word. It came in flowering already, but it was immediately hot in the box. I ordered it this was spring and it got real hot. That was an early spring. It did not last. It was like you need special fertilizer that is a liquid-based thing and you need to use filtered water only and it needs to be outside. That's a lot of what you see with bonsai, especially when I go looking online, is like outside, outside, outside. I can't do outside all the time because it gets too hot at some points and it gets way too cold other points of the year. So anyway, alongside this, there are other plants here that you see that we will get back to. We're kind of splitting it up. So look at the bonsai, don't look at anything else right now. We'll talk about that later. There's another juniper. We picked that one up from online. The boxwood, let's go with that one next. Harland boxwood. This one's a bummer. This one, I'm not thrilled. I don't know what happened. I got it back in March of 2024. It has been a full year and it did really well. The winter was kind of harsh. I was showing the photo here. Oh, this is kind of lit up. Where'd you go? I moved it around. Okay, it's in the back here next to the azalea. The azalea is still doing pretty good. Let's jump ahead. When is the next photo I have of the boxwood that I can show? Here, if you can see that, lots of pretty green. It's a shrub. So, you know, if you've seen a shrub before, that's what it looks like. It's just a bonsai of a shrub. And it did really, really well for a really long time. This is now 2025, 02, February. This is 2 months ago. Look, this is the one I was showing you before with the cinnamon, but look at the actual leaves of this boxwood. Look at how it's vibrant, it's green, they're all perked up. I've had no trouble with this one. It's been doing great. Look at it now. What happened? I legitimately don't know. But in the last 2 months since that happened, it's only gotten worse. The leaves are now dry. It's drooped down. It doesn't have nearly, it's dead, I assume. I've repotted it, even though you're not supposed to do that, I think was one of the things, was like if it's, because it's a shock to their system. You're taking a plant that has gotten all these nutrients from the soil that it's in and the location, and it's suddenly, no, not good. I moved it into the bathroom and it stopped getting as much natural sunlight. That's what I think could have done it, because this really needs to be outside, but we are still in April to a point where they can't regularly go outside all the time. We're still within the frost warning, and these ones cannot be outside. So many of the bonsai, I don't think I have a single bonsai that can be outside during freezing weather. That's just not really like, I don't have many outdoor ones. I've been doing indoor ones, and that's what I've been purchasing, is that kind of stuff, which is another thing, and you know, we'll just go ahead and get into that. I was looking at one stuff this morning on bonsai-specific forums. And boy, there are some rude people out there who are just like, there is no such thing as an indoor bonsai. Bonsai are trees. Trees are outdoor, period, full stop, which is, they market them as indoor so that you'll purchase them and make it think that, and then they die after a few years because they're not really for indoor, is what these people are saying. But they do not do it in a nice way. And it gets really frustrated trying to read that. And then they even... I literally did this morning trying to figure out, because this one I'm like, but there's another one that we'll talk about that made me go looking up online. Why is it dropping its leaves? And that was a common thing, was like, it needs to be outside. It's not a good temperature for it to be outside all the time. And also I put them outside and in the direct sunlight, then they scorch their leaves. So it's like, this is not clearly, I'm reading one thing online from people who are like, they can be outside in the sun and it's fine. And then I put them outside in the sun and they burn. And I'm like, well, clearly direct sunlight is a bad idea. But just be cool, guys. People don't know this information. Just because you do doesn't give you the right to talk like it. And then they get called out on it. I even saw someone being like, yeah, the people on this forum are arrogant. And they're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. This guy's crazy. Well, we're not arrogant. It's like, as an outsider reading it, yeah, you kind of are. Anyway, I'm not getting down in the bad parts of it. Yes, we have a tree that's not doing so good. I'm afraid this one is gone. I've done the best. I'm going to make sure to stay on it with watering. I've moved it to a spot where it gets more sunlight, because it did last for almost, it literally was fine for a full year. And just sometime last month, it just, yeah. And it's such a quick change, and I don't know what else could be the difference there. Yes, it did move. I did make a change a little bit ago from some of these photos, like you'll see here in this one. These are all the bonsai trees. They're all doing quite well. This was from August of last year, so we're talking a good 6-8 months ago. This was over there where they get sunlight right in front of the window. And some of them were doing well and other ones didn't. And I figured that, like, the ones that weren't doing well needed more light. And so I've moved them into the bathroom where they get more moisture in the air from the shower, but I don't close the door and I don't use really hot showers, so they're not getting too much, which could hurt them. And then they have grow lights. I now have grow lights on just about everything, because I realize that's really what they need. And some of them have done really, really well with the grow lights, and some of them have not. Is this actually in frame? Can you see what I'm pointing to? I set up a whole camera here so you'd be able to see that as a shot that I'll put, you know, it's going to be overlaid anyway when I do have that on. It doesn't matter. So anyway, that's the bonsai side of things with the boxwood. Let's grab another one. I feel like I'm going a lot on the bonsai, and this was going to be about so many other things. So I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. As I mentioned, I got juniper. Juniper's supposed to be the beginner's easiest, most forgiving when it comes to bending branches, you know, well to take care of, but they do need a fair amount of outside, right? And that's the, boy, it is dark. Hopefully you can see this, or maybe I brighten it in post. The big juniper, that I'm showing on screen right now, dead. I did what I could. I don't know what happened. Maybe they just needed more outside time. Maybe they needed more sunlight. Maybe I didn't water them. Maybe I overwatered them. There's a myriad of problems. Maybe it was the cinnamon covering the soil and they no longer got the nutrients they needed. I don't know. But the juniper died. And at the same time, I got a small juniper that we have in front of us. Now, this one basically went the same route. It wasn't as dramatic. It wasn't as quick. Let's see. I got this around the same time. I really like this one. It's smaller, but it's got that kind of overarching. Looks like I didn't have it at that point. Did I have it by this point? Yes. Bright green, as they all are when they come in, and then, you know, I get my hands on them and they aren't so much anymore. But it's got a little pond, right? It got a little pond with a little fishing guy figure. I was like, that's neat. And it just slowly started withering, and the branches get hard and they start dying out, and you can see with some of them in here that like they don't bounce back. Once they're gone, they're gone, it seems to be. But we have so much new growth out of this that did not happen out of the other one. And that's really encouraging that something that happened after the change where they went out of the window and under the grow lights. This one bounced back quite well. We got new growth out of pretty much everything, sprouting upright, doing that. And yeah, towards the inside, and I've heard that this is something that happens with junipers. And I don't really know a good way to combat that besides trying to hit it with light. It's like when the light never reaches all the way down because it's too thick over the top is kind of the theory that I've heard. Don't know. Also, I got some moss to put over it. I think this looks really nice. I'm really happy. I hope that stays green for a lot longer than some of the other moss that I've done. This is frog moss. This is a different kind, but I think this looks really pretty. I just went, as I said, all the bonsais got repotted recently, and so the moss on top is much better than the cinnamon clumps that were there before. That sounds like a terrible breakfast cereal. So, this juniper going well, got some new growth. I don't think there's anything I can really do about the dead underside of the leaves besides slowly prune them back and pick them off so that it's no longer trying to spread the nutrients to dead leaves going, you know, some plants do that, houseplants that I've been learning. Some of them will go, okay, these older leaves, we'll just suck everything out of that. We're just going to pull it on, you know, take it off life support, but get everything we can and then spread that to the new stuff. So maybe that's what it's doing. But anyway, juniper, small, green mound juniper is what they called that, and I think the green mound meant more of the, you know, the base. It did have a little bit of moss to it, but it wasn't very green by the time I got it. This came from online, but I've had it now since this juniper was in March 2024. Been a full year. We've got new growth. It seems to be fine. It seems to be alive, and it will spend time outside this summer until it gets too hot. Moving on. A dwarf jade. We've had this one for a while too, as with pretty much all of them. Most of them came from online. This one was a little bit earlier. I got this one from a Home Depot specifically. I actually found bonsai at the Home Depot, which didn't know that that was a thing I could find outside of actual stores, but I would have had that one by this point here. I don't see it though. Am I missing it? Oh wait, is it back behind that one? It is. So you can barely make that out. It's in front of the juniper because it's smaller, so it would take less. Oh, I pulled all the bonsai out for that photo. Remember that photo. We'll come back to that. Anyway, this one's been doing really, really well. This one has survived. It's doing even better under the grow lights now that we've done that. I did just repot it, like I said, and put the moss on part of it, and I think that looks really nice the way that this does, and I've had to trim it back, actually. Some of them do need regular trimming. That boxwood, when it was alive, was the one who, it would perk up and really sprout some stuff off, and I'd trim it back and make it look more like a shrub, and that did well. I haven't done that in a bit because it's been winter. We're just now getting to the point where we're in the growing season again. When they're dormant, I don't try to trim them too much. Wait until it's spring and they're shooting off a lot of leaves and doing that. Is that the right way to do it? I don't know. But anyway, this one definitely like has had some trimming done to it. It might need it again soon, but I really am kind of happy with the way that it's, you know, it's just got a lot of leaves to it. It looks really healthy. It's nice. And it's been going for more than a year. It's been quite plugging along and just being a good little happy bonsai tree. The other one that we have, we'll just move straight into. This one also came from the Home Depot at the same time. I managed to find 2 different ones. And again, I gave it the moss underneath. This is a ginseng ficus. No, wait, did I order this one online? I'm saying it out loud and realizing, yes, it came from online back in March of 2024. So been around more than a year. And yes, every once in a while, these underside leaves will turn yellow and very easily come off. But the top ones seem to be doing well. And it has sprouted quite a bit more since then. Let's see, March. This would have been the day it came in, and there it is. Lots of leaves up top, really hasn't changed too much, but I have repotted it, same pot, but I just cleaned up the roots like I did all of them here in the spring, put the moss on top, and I have not had any problems with the ginseng. That is one, there it is right in the middle. It seems to be just about the same, right? Like, if that, God, I hope that's coming through. This was going to be so much easier than me trying to edit in and put the photos in post. I'm already having to pipe in another camera and sync up audio and do things. So I was trying to make it as easy as possible so that when I'm looking, I can be talking about it without having to be sitting at the computer recording off of it. New camera and all. Anyway, ginseng's been doing great. That's another one that's been doing really good. We're almost done with the bonsai. Let me grab another one. The Chinese elm. Home Depot purchase, February last year, right? Let's see. Yep, we got a photo of it here. You can't really see it though. Do I have a good photo of it before anything happened to it? Yeah, here, check this out. Right down here. It's hard to tell. I haven't been good about photographing or getting good photos of them necessarily in ways that I can share, as it turns out. But that one's got tons of leaves, right? Well, came winter, all the leaves dropped off, which makes sense. The Chinese elm is a deciduous tree. They do that. They drop their leaves. And then it came back, and I went, okay, well, maybe it'll be fine. But, well, if you can kind of tell, it's this one in the blue pot with the cinnamon covering all over it, and there's basically no leaves on it, and that was 2 months ago. And let's see. That might be the only one. It's just been, it keeps doing this. And I can't really show, like here, you can see the bottom half of it and some of the leaves, but I really can't even get it in a good spot in order to show you what it looks like on the secondary camera. So instead, here, see if that is a good enough shot of it. I can't get a great close-up at the moment with this. But yeah, it's basically got no leaves again. And this just happened last week before I repotted. It's got some leaves, but it doesn't have all the leaves. And this was the one that caused me to go look up online and go, what's going on with this? And the Chinese elm is what people were very rudely saying need to be outside, which it will go back outside, and I hope it's still good. And it doesn't feel dead like some of the other ones have. And because there are so many leaves still on it, it's not nearly as much, but it was one point where they just all dropped. And I went, great, it must think it's winter. And that was something that was like, don't overwater it at that point. So I've been doing better. I did repot it and just put rocks down here to try to do what I could for it. I don't know if this one's going to make it. I hope so, because there are still life. This one was one that got second most for trimming, honestly. And it was something that I remember looking up being like, okay, how often do I need to trim this thing? And they were like, oh, during the growing season, it will get really out of control. These things just sprout and go everywhere. And it was really cool. And I'm really afraid that I killed it. And I don't really know why. It's still getting light. It's still getting plenty of the grow light stuff. Maybe that's not going to work. Maybe these grow lights are not efficient for this particular type of bonsai. I don't know. Maybe it's had its life and I did something wrong. Maybe it was root rot, even though I just checked it the other day and it seemed to be fine with that from the description and what I understand about it. But yeah, Chinese elm, not doing too good. Still got some leaves. I'm hopeful because it has done this 3 or 4 times where it has dropped all of its leaves, and I just keep watering it as necessary, keep giving it the sunlight that it was getting from the window, and now the grow lights with the sunlight that it gets in the bathroom. I'm doing the best that I can there, and they grow back sometimes. Never as full as that first time, though. And the fact that they keep doing it, I thought, okay, well, it's deciduous and it's winter. Fine, this happens. You know, it had that transition period where it came home. Once I learned about that, maybe that's what it was. And they really came back pretty strong. I mean, that was in August. This would have been after the first leaves drop, you know, with it down here. And it's doing really well. It's got all those things, and then winter and all the leaves drop, and then they came back, and then they drop, and then they come back, and then they drop, and it's done it 3 or 4 times. And it makes me wonder why and what I'm doing wrong. And it still has some leaves, so it's still clearly trying. It's got some life to it, but is it just a matter of time before they all go? I don't know. I'm doing the best that I can. I thought maybe it was fine and that was the case. But then if you are on Patreon, I did do a video just last 2 months ago, I want to say, either March or February, where I was getting into it and I was going, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going to do plant stuff. And I really want to give it an effort this year now that we're out of winter, where spring's right around the corner. And I went into a Home Depot and they had more Chinese elms and they had all their leaves in February. And mine did not look like that. It definitely did not look like that at all. There's almost no leaves on it. And I went, uh-oh. So this is not just a time of year thing. This is a me thing. And that was the warning flag of like, okay, this is not just what it does during the winter and it's been doing that. I've done something wrong, because theirs at the same time clearly had better conditions and was looking a lot better. So that was not so great. But that takes care of the bonsai. If I didn't mention it, and I mentioned it in a video previously, well, you know what happened. Unfortunate. But it was around this time, I don't know exactly when, but around the time that I was doing all the bonsai and I was trying it, and I went, okay, bonsai are really tough. I've already lost some here or there. This is a bummer, and this is what I was concerned about. I'm not researching it. I'm not doing all the things that I should. I'm playing it by ear. I'm figuring it out as I go, and I'm fine with that. I'm having fun with it, and I'm enjoying all this. Just to be clear, even if I lose one, I learn a lesson. I try to figure out why. It happens. Life and death. That is the point of it. But what's supposed to be easier is houseplants. Remember the one that I said, hey, we'll come back to this? Houseplants. I started from the beginning with the ficus and the chameleon, and those were the only two. And I went, okay, well, these are supposed to be easier to grow, and they're supposed to do better with low light conditions and be more beginner friendly and things like that. And so I picked up a couple different options for that. And we have in this photo, let's see, starting up at the top, this is where we get into, I don't know the names of them. This is something that I thought about, and I've held off from making a video for like a month and a half, where I went, okay, I'm really excited. I'm getting all the stuff. I want to talk about it. I should do the bare minimum of research and understand what plants I even have, right? Well, here we are, and it is what it is. I still don't know the names of most of them, basically all of them, but some of them have survived, some of them have not. And we've got a couple here. This just came from an online, honestly, I think I ordered it on Amazon when they still shipped live plants at a reasonable price, which they no longer do, as it turns out, but whatever, I'm done shopping on there. Anyway, there are other online retailers that you can get that do really nice work. I'm very pleased with the way that they ship them and the quantity, and they warn you up front not to ship them during temperamental winter weather, whether it's going to be really hot or really cold, because it will harm the plants in transit. And I've got them, and that was the thing, was like, and we overheated on that camera. That's about what I expected. I did not realize it had been an hour since I sat down and started recording. I don't know if we got an hour out of it, because I was walking back and forth and trying to plan and look things up and set stuff up. But yeah, I knew that camera would overheat. That's going to be the new one, and we'll just use it in short bursts. This one lasts longer, but the picture doesn't look as good, so it is what it is. Anyway, we were talking about plants. We're talking about house plants. We're talking about ones that I got. We have a few that have lasted for quite a while, though there has not been much growth. This is one of them. And we'll put it on this camera here. This is a pothos. I do know that much. They're supposed to be very easy to take care of. It has not grown a whole bunch. When we got it, if I'm looking correctly, I'm trying to identify which one this was out of the ones that came in from online. I think, okay, so that's that one. I can identify, this one must be that one. You can't really see the photos, can you? The whole point of this, though, right? So like this one here, maybe, definitely have some going. Yeah, that one's lighter. That one's got some color to it. And then there's one up here that has even different dark color. So yeah. This is in a pot that's kind of too big. This just got repotted this morning with the whole coffee filter and the sand on the top technique to try to combat the gnats. We have a different one here. This is the other one that I have. The only thing here, we do have a bit of brown on the leaves edges here with what's happening. Some of it fell off. Some of it is going to fall off. I thought that was sun damage at first. It is not. That is it not getting enough nutrients, and it is starting to wilter from the edges, according to the book that I read. But this is another kind of pothos. This one has leaves that are different colors. I like it. This one's grown considerably since the original, which I don't have it was just a little one, basically, and it has sprouted up some more. I thought these were going to grow much faster, much bigger, but maybe that was because I kept them in very small pots for a year, but they're still around. We've lost some houseplants, but not all of them. And then another pothos here that basically was very small when we got it. And it has sprouted up here. Again, these pots are too big. I ran out of medium-sized pots. I bought a set of these plastic ones here. They're not bad. I tried not to buy too many and actually have a bunch of pots that I found by the dumpster, but we don't have those available. But this one has definitely sprouted up. It's got the same thing. I'm hoping it'll just kind of grow into this pot size, because now that it's got grow lights and it's not just getting some sunlight some part of the day, which is what we were getting before, these ones have really perked up. But they all have lasted more than a year since I bought them March of 2024, all the houseplants that are there. We have some others that are doing pretty well. Let me show you that. In this photo right over here, we have this dark leaf shapely one right here. There's only 2 leaves there, right? And now we have more. The original big leaf and a secondary one that was here that has started to curl, not sure why. It has just recently, since doing the grow light change about 2 months ago, sprouted up these other 2. I gave it some more fresh dirt here. Was that the right thing to do? I assume so. I don't know. But yes, it is doing pretty well, if we could see. I mean, at least it sprouted a couple more. That's cool. Don't know what this one is, but I like it, and I'm glad that it has bounced back a little bit. I mean, this one didn't, it never did anything. It didn't grow. It didn't do anything. And I went, well, I don't know what's going on, but you can almost see. Let's see if we can get in there a little bit. See, there's that. That's going to turn into another leaf at some point. So it is continuing to grow. Similarly, we have one that I don't know if I can find in this photo. Let me see if I can find another one around the same time. I didn't get very close-up images of these plants, apparently. I just kind of took pictures of all of them because I didn't know what was going to happen over the long term. I wasn't like, houseplants weren't a thing that I was like going to show off, I guess, at any point. Yeah, I don't see it, but very similar. I mean, this was a pack online that I bought that was just like, here's plants, a variety of houseplants. They don't even tell you the name. Some of them came with tags, some of them did not. But this was one. Okay, there it is. I see it in the back here. Okay, come here. Here in the back, first of all, you've got a pot here and a pot here, right? These little tiny sapling pots that are like 2 inches tall, maybe at most. And this one we'll talk about in a minute, but behind it, see the leaf? So it had like 2 leaves maybe. Well, look at it now. This one I'm quite happy about. This one's really perked up and sprouted all kinds that came from that little, it's got like red here, and this was probably the original leaf, I want to say. There were maybe 2 of them, and it's got more coming in. Yeah, this one I was quite happy to repot because this one has really expanded. from its original size over the last year. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 leaves. That's really cool. That's what's exciting about this. There's just growth. You give it some food, and then all of a sudden you pay a little more attention, and you look at it and be like, oh wow, you've really sprouted. And I haven't noted like every single leaf change you've done, but there it is, and you just kind of take care of it until boom, there's just life. You are growing something. It's cool. Let's try recording out of here again. See if we can't do a little bit better. So that's what I did. And some of it worked pretty well, and some of it not so much. The plants did what they did. That's the best that I could really say, is that some of them thrived and other ones did not. This one I'm a little concerned about. I think it's really pretty. I think it's cool that it's got this kind of long-leafed, well, I mean, like the vines to it almost. I definitely am a fan of something like that, but the cinnamon definitely took a toll on what happened there at the top, and it definitely went through. It doesn't feel nearly as nice. Some of them feel nice, some of them don't, and that's a good way, an indicator that I've used to kind of tell. I'm hoping, now here's what happened. I just repotted this without any cinnamon, and started giving it more sunlight, and this grew over the course of about a month. Like, it went from probably half this size all the way down. So like, we've got a fairly decent length here, and then this has just sprouted up very recently. So I am hopeful that this, don't know what it is coming back. I can't say for sure, but here's hoping. And then rapid fire, very similarly, since I did that last year, right? We've gotten some new things. And there's a bunch, and I'm not probably going to go through all of them, but like, some of them are doing really well. Some of them sprouted up. This, when I got it, was only like 3 or 4 leaves. And it's already doing pretty good once I got it, you know, repotted out of the little starter pot into this with fresh new soil and giving it lots of water and light. That one's doing pretty well. This one has got some small growth to it. Pretty cool. I'm hoping show this off a little bit, and then in a year or so, these ones will really have taken off. We'll see. I don't know. This is nice. This is cool. I really like this one too. It's really cool. This one, this one's sprouted quite considerably from when I first got it. Do I have a picture of when I first got it? I don't remember. But this one was not nearly as tall from here. Oops, spilling some water down the bottom there. And this one is really sprouted up. But yeah, we've got some, these are like little sapling starter, you know. Not doing super great on this one. But it is what it is. I think we're almost done with one of the windows. Of that original batch that I first got, there was one that I really liked that I thought was very dramatic colored and very pretty. Here you can see that I found some of it for $6 with a big bright leaves. This, if I remember correctly from the, yes, I took a picture of it, the Red and Photonia, I think. That came in the original houseplants packaging that I got with a bunch of them, and it died. Just could not keep it alive. And I actually have heard that it's also known as the nerve plant from my sister, who had one and was like, this is not, and got rid of it. But more recently, managed to get one in another pack of, or I just picked it up at the Home Depot when it was on sale. They had a plant sale going on, and I've repotted it into this. It looks very pretty so far. I hope it does well. I'm going to try to do my best to take better care of it this time, because I do like the ones that have different colors. We do have some more small ones. From that pack of what's happening here, let's see. We have this. I mean, you know what? Here. There's a whole bunch of them, right? I literally have a whole tray full. I should just do it handheld. Maybe this will be easier to see. We've got something with big leaves that are kind of, they're green all the way up, and then they start turning a bit of reddish. That's interesting. This one here has like pink to it in there. I don't know. I don't know what that one is. I don't know what any of these are, but like if they survive, maybe I'll wind up learning their names of some of them. I only know some, especially the ones that killed by accident, and then we get later on, something like that. Now this one's got this kind of green and yellow to it, and then this one's got this purpley. Those two are important. Okay, I mean they're all very important. Don't remember that. One more from the window. This one, I just picked this one up the other week when Home Depot. Really cool. I really like this. I like the ones I'm liking. I mean, I'm finding what I like. This one in particular was one that I was like, oh, this is beautiful. And I did, oh, I took a picture. Where is it? Is that one on my phone maybe? I think I know the name of it. I was messaging my sister at the time going, check this out. And that's when she told me about the nerve plant. And I also had this one and I got another one. What was this one? Where are my photos? I just moved them off the computer. Why did I do that? You fool. Dang it. Well, I thought I had the name of it. I don't. I thought I did. They were just an assortment. There were a couple different ones. I got the Phytonia one that we can see here, the nerve plant. I thought maybe I had the picture as well. There's this. This is where it was. It's now, you know, in this condition. Helps if I'm recording over here as well. I have repotted it. I'm very happy. I'm pleased that it is coming up with new growth. Some of it is dying away, which is to be expected, and that makes sense. But the rest of it, it's just this beautiful kind of purpley reddish burgundy color with the green, and like it's really cool. So I'm happy about that as well. It's like a bergamma or I might be able to pull up actually the plant chat that we have here from the day I was at the Home Depot, because this was not that long ago when I was in the, yeah, okay. My Phytonia didn't make it, and it was incredible. I went to, wait, I was taking pictures in the Home Depot. See what you can see here for like, I was just going, there's plants everywhere, and they're on sale at reasonable prices compared to where I walk in and I go, it's like $10, $15 a plant for even the little ones. And these ones were on sale as they're moving through, and I was getting that. And this is, okay, this is the, what we're talking about now here is the Rex begonia. Yes. And that, yeah, we talked about the nerve stuff. We talked about that. Oh, there is another bonsai. Okay, I forgot. Yes, back 2 months ago, was it? I don't remember. Yes, actually, I do know. Assuming this video is the right video clip. Please play. We were out. I was doing... yeah, no, I'm not paying 99 cents to play an HEVC. Hold on. Okay, while I'm getting this going, I can at least take you through. We've been doing plant stuff now for a few years, and it comes in spurts of like, ooh, I'm ready, and I do have some money available, and then I start buying stuff, right? And I start going and getting plants and things, what I can find in person. And so over the last 2 months, I've made 2 videos while I was out driving from like, I went to see wildlife, and I was going to stop by a Home Depot or a garden center, a Walmart, wherever that would have plant stuff while I was already out. That happened, and I was recording them there on Patreon, and I also was like, those have happened, and there was a thing, and so I do have a video from one of the trips that I went out and did that. Let's see if I can pull that up now that I have downloaded VLC, which will actually play the clips of what I'm trying to, assuming it can play it over my network because this is stored on my NAS. I just really need a still image of it, honestly, but I just wanted to maybe show you. Yeah, okay, here we go. So here we are. There it is, right? I bought a bonsai tree from Home Depot while I was out looking at plants and buying, especially seeds. Here is the bonsai today. Still looks pretty similar. It's got some leaves. It's there. It's a bonsai. It definitely has that, but it also has flowers. Now, currently today, something's happened and they're not doing too great. But it flowered. This was one that I took pictures of because I was so excited about. I got it while we were out. I took video while I was there at the Home Depot looking at it. And since then, I brought it home. I put it under the grow lights. I gave it water. I took care of it best I could. And it did start flowering, which I did not expect. I didn't realize I would do that. I've looked it up since then. This is a Fukian tea leaf. Fukian tea, and these are the leaves. That was what it came up with when I did the plant identifying when I was trying to do that. But the Fukian tea tree, and then if you look here, there were flowers, white little flowers that were happening, and I got pictures of multiple, and they're flower. I don't know what happened today. I was hoping to show you like some really impressive, like, look, here it is. There's multiple. There were a bunch. They're all kind of dried up and wilted. Did I overwater? Did I underwater? I don't know. Do they only flower for a little bit? Do they flower just first thing in the morning and then they kind of dry up and then they come back? Or are they just, because they're already, there's also like dead flowers on here, or, little brown ones. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with this stuff, but it was really, really exciting. A little sad to see it down, but anyway, there was one more bonsai that I needed to at least follow up on from. I was really excited. I got that. I talked about it when I was there in the car doing a Patreon video, and it is here. Look, we do have, okay, there's a flower. Can we focus on that? I don't know if the phone's going to want to do it, but yes, there's little white flowers. There's more brown than there are anything else, but it does have some white flowers. Why did the flowers seem to like come and go so quickly? I don't know. I'll have to look into that one specifically. I do try to do a bit more research when it comes to the specific plants, the bonsai specifically when possible. But look, I'm happy. That's really cool that was there. And that would be the end of what I was doing in the window, one of the windows. We do have another window, but let's go on a little adventure real quick. Okay. We're going to let our camera cool off a little bit here. We're going to go put this back in the bathroom, and then we're going to talk about what else we can actually look at and see inside. There we go. And then around. And we have this display here. Plants. Plants. Go up. Look up. There's ones up top, you camera. All right. I got a set of 4. Now look down. This is a snake plant. I know that. I don't love the name, but it's cool. That is a thing. I also there were 4 of them. There's one there. There's one up here. If the camera will ever get up to here, come on now. There's also 2 more out of the room. We'll go take a look at those in a minute. But yeah, anyway, that one's supposed to be like beginner, really easy, something like that. The pineapple plant, don't know the actual name of that, but I know it looks like a pineapple. This one was losing most of its leaves. Like this one is kind of yellowy. Come on, get in here. It is what it is. This one was on clearance from Walmart along with several of them. That was another one we found. Like this one down here. I was really hoping that some of these would be able to bounce back with proper care. They were coming out of a discounted, they were clearly dying from the Walmart, and I went, well, I'll give it a shot, along with this one up here in the back. This one is something like Swiss cheese because the leaves have holes in them. And this one, when I got it, was almost entirely dead, and I figured, well, that's it. It's got all these like long vines to it, the stems that come out, and it had almost no leaves to it whatsoever. It had this one strong leaf, and I went, okay, I know from reading and learning about this stuff that what you can do with a dying plant, one of the options is to revitalize it or split them off and put them in water. And this is a sad little site here, but I got a little water setup going for hydroponics, right? That's what that's called. And this is just kind of a graveyard of, well, I'll try and we'll see what happens. And yeah, it's not a miracle. They don't immediately bounce back or anything, but I thought it would be cool to have some growing in water. And we'll come back to this, but anyway, like I said, it's kind of all over the place. This one has sprouted back. We now have multiple. This is new. We got another one that's going to be happening. Watch, stop buzzing. I hope that's not coming through on the mic, but it might be. This one is new. There's another one here that's getting ready to. This is what it looked like. They were all shriveled up and dying. This is an old leaf that will drop off eventually. But it's bouncing back with look at this one. This is totally, I didn't actually expect this one to come back. I thought maybe, but I didn't actually expect it to. This one has almost doubled in size since I got it. I got it as a much smaller one. We have another pothos here that's doing quite well. We'll come back to talk about this one soon. This was one of my original ones. I put into a much bigger one. This was one of the ones that came from that Amazon order over a year ago. Now, up here. Come on, camera. Yeah, this is spider plant, I want to say that they called that. This was one that has not done super well. I hope it will bounce back, but we've got some of the nutrients not making it all the way to the edges, but it is growing new. If you see from the top, it's doing well. Um, got this one's alive. I really love all the coloring of this one in different ways. Remember we talked about, okay, so there's another pothos in the back. That's the split. This one has like really, really grown up. Remember I said that this one was one of the ones that came from the original, and I said there was a split. I may have, I don't know. I'm bouncing all over the place. But anyway, that one has really taken off with what's going on there. This one, I was looking at it and saying this one's got kind of a, it's hard to tell. The lights are giving a purple to it, but it's got like the different colors to it. We had the small one right here. I can't show you in the window, but there's this right here, right? Well, I have two. I got a little one here, and this was one of the originals, and this one has seriously grown, which is really exciting. We have a little succulent here. We've got one, okay. So we were talking about one that I said I'd come back to as well next to this one. We had the smaller version of this, and we had this one, which is kind of purple with these green leaves on top. I do know about this one. My sister has several of these. This one has, well, let's just say that it used to be called, but it's not fully switched over yet because of reasons. Can you read that? So that's kind of maybe not the most culturally sensitive name, the Wandering Jew, but I learned a little bit about that, right? Like that was interesting. I looked it up and it was like, yeah, some people call them a wandering dude, but that's also really not. They wander, they grow. This one has really started like growing out. They get leggy. I was reading this one apparently specifically. They were like, hey, when this happens, get rid of it. I was like, I don't know if it's still alive and I'll try growing it. But anyway, I call it a wandering Jude. It's a little mix between the two, and also then it's funny and I can make a Beatles reference. So I have a little one of these that I was just showing you, but this is a big one. And this one I actually have a photo of. I'll show you here in a second. That like this has seriously grown since we got it. Up top are some hanging pothos, right? And some hanging succulents. I think that's really cool. And then there's that there. And we talked about that, and we're going to come back to this one here. So we're going to bring this one with us to talk about. Okay. I know it's not ideal looking at a computer screen through a camera, but that wandering Jude I just talked about, look at what it will look like when it came in. Like, though that is maybe 3-4 inches of height. There it is on an angle, so you can kind of see it. It has seriously, like they were mostly all very tall, and now it has kind of spread out and started growing and wandering. But like, there's a lot of growth there. That's really cool. Remember this from the start of it? This is the Ficus elastica. So this, interestingly enough, since then, I did the whole thing which we talked about, and I should have a photo of somewhere. Ah, yes, okay. That's in the water bulb thing over there. I cut off a little bit because the ficus is getting it's really, really going. I trimmed up just a little bit there. And then look at what we got. This is, it like actually worked. The hydroponic thing, putting it in water with some growing hormone, rooting hormone, I think is what it's called. It really, really took there. And when this was, look at this very specifically, this was 2 leaves, right? I trimmed it off the plant. I'm holding it there, and we have 1 leaf with a little bit of a stem there, and then the other leaf. And here it is today. That was 2-3 weeks ago now, or just 2 weeks ago. And now we have the 1 leaf that's there. We have the 2nd leaf that's there, and then we have this one. This is the one that was just, there was nothing. There's just a little stem. And now we have a full leaf with another stem coming. It's taken. It's working. To anyone who's doing plants, I'm sure this is super common, is to just continue growing them and propagate them. That's what it's called when you trim them and you put them into a new plant, and I will soon have 2nd tree out of this. That's super exciting and really cool. So that's everything that's here. It's spread. It's more than just here though. It's in the rest of the apartment. Those are all fake. The 2 bottom layers are fake because the cat can get to them. Didn't want to do that. Didn't want to encourage the cat to eat the plants. She's already been going after some of the droppings here or there. Apparently plants are tasty, but thankfully the only ones that she's able to get to fake plastic, so she doesn't chew on these, and hopefully that'll help teach her not to. And then some ferns that I got that were okay. She ate the droppings of those. But we made a little trip out. Got some cactus succulents. It's kind of hard to see. This is very backlit. It looks really pretty, except for when it comes through on camera. But Bonnie and I each picked out a succulent of one kind. I said the spider plant, there's 2 more there. And then when I went to that Home Depot and I got the nerve plant, I also got this, which was something about a rabbit's fern. I don't know, but it's pretty. And then we have fake hanging plants, because I just wanted to put more out here. From the very original first purchase, this was the chameleon one. It has really spread up. I think I need to trim it back some. It's done a lot of growing, and it's gone all over the place, but I don't know what it looks like down inside there. I don't know if that's like a bulb that is sprouting off different ones. I don't know how I'll be able to split it. I've been reading about how you can do that with a clean knife for ones that are more bulbous down in the soil. You can go in and split them and then make them 2. So I think this one is going to get split at some point. We're going to come back to that in a moment. The ficus, like I talked about, that I just took the trimming from. The only concern I have, look, this one's still growing. This one's still doing this here. So that's going to be fine. And out this one, it's still growing. Where I trimmed it, it has completely stopped. So I don't know if that's going to come back at some point or what's going to happen there. I'm a little concerned that once you trim it, it's done, but that doesn't make any sense. Outside of that, when we started all this, and the reason I went to that Home Depot a couple months ago and we started this was to get seeds, because I'm going to start doing flowers as much as I can. And we'll try to show you this, even though it's very purple from the lighting, but we planted all kinds of seeds. There's 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 of these containers here. Little growing trays on a heat mat to keep them warm with the light where they get it. And you know what's been happening? Look, growth. Some of them are starting to sprout. Not all of them, but some of them are growing. We are getting some. So these are getting ready. This was something I looked up when the frost date. See, there's a little tiny one in there, if you can see that. Some of them are going. This one was really, okay, so I started here planting. This one was as early. That was about 2 months from the last frost date, which will be in May. And then slowly, like I did a bunch of them there. And then over the last week or 2, we did some here. This was just, what is today? I'm recording this on the 6th. The 1st, I planted this here. Those are the fastest sprouters by far. So that's really exciting to see. They're getting ready. Everything here will be moving outside. We've got a whole thing outside in order to house just a variety of wildflowers that I bought seeds for, and some vegetables. I remember basil being one of them specifically, but we are getting some growth out of there. We also have trying to grow bonsai trees. That maybe will be a bonsai tree. That will maybe be a bonsai tree. That will maybe be a bonsai tree. This entire thing will maybe be bonsai trees. One of them has sprouted. I don't have super high hopes. I did try a kit before to grow bonsai trees, and it did not work super well. And then this was on sale and is just gorgeous. This is an orchid. Super hard to see and get on camera when the camera's doing this, but like, I don't know how long that one's going to last either. I don't know. I looked up enough to go, okay, I can plant it almost normal and it should be fine. And we'll see, because it had already flowered quite spectacularly. And it's very pretty. Hopefully this will last. I don't know. It was on sale, and I imagine it was on sale because it doesn't have that much life left to it. But I could be wrong about that. From the Walmart trip, I had, okay, so what was out there, I've rearranged, things move back and forth all the time. But if you can see, these are the 3 that I got from Walmart that were on their last legs, very heavily discounted, probably going to die soon. The pineapple one lost some leaves right off the bat. This one with the bigger leaves is mixed with that stuff. But like I said, look at this one here that's like the Swiss one. It had one leaf completely dead. Like these leaves were almost completely dead. The one in the middle was the strongest, and everything else is there. And now we've got multiple, 4 or 5. So that one is bouncing back. I'm not sure about the one in the middle. The pineapple one is going to do what the pineapple one is going to do. And then also I had ferns. The ferns are outside, and they look like ferns. Zoom in. Ferns. Ferns. Really cool. Ferns. And before we put the pothos up there, hanging there, I was keeping the ferns up top as well. Here in things have moved around quite a bit, but yes, they were hanging there, and then I realized ferns are going to stay outside most of the year. I do need to figure out what they're going to do during the winter because they are big and they take up a fair amount of space and they cannot stay outside. And now I've taken the spots that I went, oh, I'll leave that spot empty through the summer when they're outside, and then they'll come in. And then I bought some hanging pothos ones and went, well, then I guess I'll find a new spot for ferns. The water. Okay, so the water thing that we skipped over out there in the living room. Lotus blossoms. I bought some lotus blossom seeds, which when they came in looked like black olives. That's what they looked like. I put them in water, as it said, and that's what we're seeing here in this image, was from the top down after they'd started germinating and sprouting. Here from the side, you can see just little, they're pods, they're like black olives, and then they start sprouting green sprouts that come up. And that happened very quickly. After, I don't know, a week, they were all the way, like this probably from when I got them, I'm guessing, they were already coming out the top. And I went, okay, I got to move them, I got to do something. And I thought I'd looked up and I'd read somewhere that they just stay in water, and so you just leave them in water and they'll be fine. No, they are seeds. They are a plant. They need soil to get the nutrients out of it. That's how it works. They are for ponds, mostly. Anyway, one thing led to another. I bought a casserole dish thinking this will be great. I'll just do that. They'll grow a couple inches and then they'll flower up on the top and it'll be nice wide open. It'll be easy for me to take care of the water because you'll have to change the water or something. But then I learned soil, so you got to put down at least enough soil to cover the seeds, and then they need some for sprouting. And so the casserole dish didn't work. And instead we wound up getting an aquarium. And that's what's out there right now. Now they have really, really expanded since then. This was about 3 days ago, and that's about... I was trying to take a picture to show. It is just a mess of them. They are extremely tangled, but they have finally started to flower, or started to leaf open. What is the term for that? It'll be better if I can show you rather than an image on the computer. So let's go back out there. So I got an aquarium for them, just a small aquarium, put some soil like it called for. It had some sand down there and then actual soil that it needed up for there, a filtration, the whole thing. It looks fairly nice right now because I just cleaned it this morning. They weren't looking super great. But the ones that have actually made it up from the surface, they look like this most of the time. And the purple lights is not helping, but they come up looking like this out of the water, and then they just keep going. Look at the mess that is in here. It's so tangled. I tried untangling some of it, but they've really, really sprouted, which is exciting. The ones that have finally actually opened up and we actually have like leaves, I think it's because they feel like they have to get all the way out of the water before they start opening up, and then they'll settle back down, because essentially they're going to be like a lily pad and sit on the water surface, I think is how that's supposed to work. Don't know, have no idea, but that's kind of what I'm guessing with some of these. So I just pulled a bunch of them out of the water entirely. I'm going to put them back in, but I needed to clean it. But we do have several here. So I'm really hoping that that's how that works, that they're going to take the nutrients from down here in the soil. I don't know why. They kind of look gelatinous, but it's really hard to tell with the reflections through here. There's like cobwebs all over them is the best way that Bonnie was describing them, thinking we got underwater spiders as part of the bugs that are now growing in here. But that's not. It's coming from the seeds themselves. I have no idea what that means. I don't know why that's like that. Now that I've cleaned it, there's less of it. Like they were gelatinous little cubes almost that it looked like they were sitting there. I don't know what that means, but it's coming from the seeds themselves, and they seem to be doing fine, so I guess I'm not too worried about it. But speaking of water, bamboo. Bamboo actually lives in the water. That is something here that we can see. This was one that we got originally from there, the bamboo. One of them died. It had 7, I guess. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So one of them did not make it. And some of the leaves really are not happy with what's happening here. But the rest of them, since it opened up, this is a stupid thing. I bought this from Home Depot. I do not recommend it. They glued all the rocks in place. You can't take this out, meaning you really can't change the water or soak them and do the things that you need to do to keep this thing alive. The best thing that I think could have happened was the fact that one of them died and I removed it entirely, giving me access so I can drain the water fully and put it back. But anyway, behind the bamboo is a little terrarium. Not the aquarium, but a terrarium. And here, with soil and some really nice moss over here and some not so nice moss over here. This is really wet in here, but I think that's how it's supposed to be for these. We have another one of these that's got like split colors to it, and there's a wandering Jude behind it, and a couple of like pothos maybe. This specifically said great for terrariums, and terrariums are meant to be more water-based and sealed, well, not sealed, but a breathable. There's holes on the top here, and but just more wet. Everything, from what I understand, it should be more wet in here. So we'll see how these do. This one is already starting to sprout up. I think it might be a little crowded, so some of them might move out of here, but I just wanted to try something different, and that's kind of what all this has been, isn't it? We're going to rapid fire through the rest of them that are in the window right here next to me. We're doing that, but here's... if you can see this image, I've started doing, like, whenever it's plant time, where I specifically, like, I kind of check on them throughout the week and make sure, and then Sunday mornings is like put in meditation music and just take care of plants, and I have an apron that I wear and do that, and maybe you'll see Happy Michael there. I have my apron. All I can think of when that's happening is the episode of Bob's Burgers where Bob gets a garden and he puts on he takes his wife's hat, big floppy hat, and he's out there singing to the plants, and he just sings "I'm like a British lady in my garden," and that plays through my head while I'm watering my plants and things. But anyway, rapid fire. Here we go. Got a plant. Don't know what this one is called. It's got some pretty coloring to the leaves. It's doing well since I've repotted it. That's cool. And then another one in the same style of pot over here. This one almost died, so I'm really happy that it's come back. We'd lost a couple leaves here. This was my own fault. I did not water it nearly as much, but it's got this pattern to it where they've got spots on the leaves. I think that's really neat. This one is doing well, and we're getting new leaf growth out of it. Thriving now that we're actually giving it proper sunlight in the window. And then succulents. How about succulents and succulents and succulents? Wait. Here's all the square container ones. There's this. So I bought a variety pack of these. Oh boy, this is going to be difficult to show you. There it is. How about that? How about we get a little something like that, and you can see they're like cactus. They don't need nearly as much water. That's what I know about that. And if you thought that was all of them, whoop, not even close. Look, succulents in the little round pots this time. Look at all of them. And those ones there. Yeah, they're cute. And they don't need nearly as much attention from my understanding. I think some of them are the same. These three look very similar. This one's kind of purpley, along with those two back there. This one's got bigger leaves. This one looks totally different. It's got round leaves that are like purple tinged around the edge. Those ones all look very different. That's what I've been up to recently. This is the plant stuff that's been going on, and I kept alluding to it mostly on Patreon here or there, and that's why there is a huge amount of them, and I just keep going, oh yeah, okay, sure, and ordering, I think I'm done now for now. We're going to focus on making sure I can take care of all of them, but like, what, $20 I want to say for a pack of 8 little succulents? Something along those lines. And I go, well, that's great. I get several plants all at once that all seem, alive, and I get to grow them and see. These ones are going to need to be taken out of these kind of, what do they call these? The training pots at some point. But they're succulent, so they don't grow a lot and they don't require a whole lot of things, and it's just a good time. I think that's everything. I think we may have hit every plant I have, unless I miss something now. The count is well over 40 or 50 total individual alive plants, and it's only going to get better the more I manage to do things like this, where I can propagate them myself. My hopes is that I can actually transform the whole apartment, parts of it that are allowed. Someone has said nothing in the bedroom, and that's fair because of the gnats that have happened before. I've seen some gnats. I'm really hoping that this new tactic of the coffee filter and the sand will help take care of that, and we won't have problems with it again. And the fly strips and everything that we're doing, I'll hope so. I'm learning. I'm doing what I can. I'm reading the book. I'm really enjoying everything that. Oh, I missed one. I don't know what this one is either. Unlike, all the other ones that I definitely know what it is. What's this one? What do we have here? What about, try to put it so that the light's not there. What about this? What about this one? What's this? I don't know. But it's growing and it's alive and it's cool. So, it's a plant. That's what's happening. That's what's been going on. Like I said at the beginning in the arrangement that we had, I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm just trying things. I see a plant and go, that one's different unless I recognize it from one that I already have. And I just want to see, can I keep it alive? Can it grow? Can it do well? And it brings me the first time when I got everything set up, even with the fake plants out there in the living room, I came in from outside and I just saw plants and I went, oh, that's really nice. And it kind of clicked and I understood. There was a line in the book that I've been reading, something about how when you look at a photo of a room or you enter a room, especially when you're physically there and you just see plants, it feels like the room is alive because there's life in the room. The plants have provided, the plants are alive. They are living things in there. Even if no one else, no human beings are in the room or anything, it feels like a bright, live room with life in it because of the plants. And I got in that moment, I saw that I was like, oh yes, absolutely. And I can't show you pictures there, but my sister, who has a bunch of houseplants and has been doing this for many years, and big, beautiful ones that have been thriving under her care, did that where she brought all of her plants into her office. And I saw that I was like, that's what I want. That I want a room full of plants. I want to just walk in and look at all the different ones and see them alive and care for them and take care of them and just have a live room, a plant jungle in your house. That's really what I want, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So we're doing the little bits that we can here or there, and I'm taking care of them and learning. Bonsai especially, I have spots in the bathroom for more bonsai, so expect when I get some more money, I'm going to buy a couple more and try to take care of them as best I can. We'll figure out what I've done with some of them. Some of them are doing great, some of them not so much. Got to figure out what's going on with that. I'm really looking forward, hopefully by the end of spring, flowers will be happening of all the wildflowers. That was something that I haven't mentioned yet. There was a whole side story here with me just growing things for the sake of it. Where was that? I think that was in my older photos with this one. Yeah. The one thing, I took a bunch of photos, but all I can really show you, because again, outside leads to outside is what it is. But on the porch, I used to feed the birds. And the most economical way that I found to feed the birds was, what do they call it? Black shaft or black oil sunflower seeds or something like that. It was sunflower seeds. I would buy them in 40-pound bags. Well, the apartment complex had a problem with that. They think that the birds that drop the seeds and the birds that leave their droppings and things like that will attract pests, mice. I disagree, and I didn't see it in the rules, but whatever. I don't want to get kicked out. I don't want to cause a problem, so I stopped feeding the birds. However, while the plants were out there and there's just soil and it's fresh and nice and sunflowers hit it, sunflowers apparently really easy to grow. Some people consider them a weed, especially out here. You'll see them growing by the side of the road, but they just started sprouting up. And they weren't the only things that sprouted. We had a bunch of things that just, like, once I noticed, I was like, oh, well, now I have most of a 40-pound bag because I just replenished it of sunflower seeds and nothing to do with it. So all the wildflowers that I'm growing, all the vegetables or herbs that I'm trying to grow are going to grow alongside as many sunflowers as I can fit into pots and grow those, because those seem like they're really going to do well. Those are going to get ready to be planted soon enough. But one of the things, because it's just a mix, right? I'm buying a 40-pound bag, so you never really know what's in there. Tomatoes started growing. Now that's something I grew up and we were growing. My dad really liked growing things as well. I'm remembering And tomatoes was something that we would plant every year. He would go get tomato plants and we'd plant them and we would have fresh tomatoes. And that was really nice. And you can even grow them. I remember specifically, he was like, oh, they're easy to grow. Your sister can have one. And he bought her, what do they call it? A topsy-turvy or something. It was basically a hanging planter for tomatoes. And then the tomatoes would grow downward. And it worked. And she had fresh tomatoes out of her, on her porch, out of her apartment. And I remembered that. I'm not doing that, but I am hoping tomatoes will grow just out of my bag of sunflower seeds. I did get, and that's the image I've pulled up here. If you can see, I don't know how well it'll come through on here. There was one tiny little cherry tomato sized red one. There were a couple green ones that did not make it, but I had one tomato out of my garden last year. And I was really, really thrilled with that because it took almost nothing besides going out there and keeping an eye on it and watering it. And they just took care of the rest. And that came from me just planting sunflower seeds to see what would happen. And we did get, I don't have any photos of those that weren't facing outside so you could see things. I did get sunflowers that flowered. They weren't the big ones or anything. They stayed mostly small because it was very late in the year by the time that was happening. This photo with the tomato that I ate, it was right. I took the picture and was like, okay, this one, the rest of them are starting to go and it's getting really cold. It was the end of October. It was basically November, and I had the fresh tomato out of the garden. So I'm hoping that might happen again this year. But yes, sunflowers and all the various kinds of seeds that I think I had like 30 or 40 seed packets. That's why there's so many on that table out there. And we almost have all of them planted. The middle of April, I get some more going. And then right at the beginning of May, before everything gets transferred to outside. So here's hoping that the weather's does what it needs to do and that everything sprouts and it all works out super well and everything will be good. And we'll have a wide variety of flowers on the porch. That's the next big project to take care of. The houseplants, I'm just maintenance mode now. Most everything that needed to be repotted is repotted. That's been taking up a lot of time over the last few weekends of like, all right, I got to get, these ones really need to be, out of the cinnamon-based potting soil that I wound up creating by accident and actually into fresh soil with more nutrients and a bigger pot for some of them, the ones that were there. So very happy about all that. I think this has gone on long enough. I think we covered all the plants there. It's time to wrap it up. I'm really enjoying it. That's the point of all this, more so than anything else. This has just been a blast of learning and trying and not learning too much and not worrying and not stressing about, oh, this one died and I didn't take enough care of it and I did it wrong there. It happens and I'm being okay with it. And that's the point that I'm trying to do and be okay with, is that plants come and go. But I want to try to keep as many alive for as long as possible because it really is a nice, fun thing to a little bit of sunlight. Well, a lot of sunlight. They need more than that, and a little bit of water and some care and take care of them. And I'm really happy when I see one that's like, there have been multiple instances of me looking at one and going, well, screw that one up. That one's all wilted and it's nothing I can do. Let me just try. Get some water, fresh whatever it takes there, put it maybe a better position. It's a lot of trial and error. That's what I'm doing with all of this, is just trial and error, and it just springs back. This one in particular was one that once I got it in, I mentioned the water ones on the wall. Some of those did not spring back, but they came in and I got them. And I was like, okay, great. It says don't repot them for 10 days. That doesn't mean forget to water them for 10 days, which is not what I did, but I did forget for a couple days and we lost some there. And so I took them and I put them in the water and went, yeah, we'll see what happens. Nothing's really happening with that. But we did get one successfully repropagated, planted, and I think will grow, and maybe one day, years from now, we'll have more than one ficus tree. I think I've covered everything I need to. I'm going to put these plants back in the window so they can continue getting the light from the sun for today. And I'm going to wrap it up. This has been the plant video. It was disjointed. It was all over the place. I was random, back and forth. I did the best to show so that my editing would be nice and easy and I wouldn't have to do both putting in images and video, and try to make it as succinct as possible and talk about things in a way that made sense. And it is what it is, and it came out to be. Maybe I'll do more in the next time, and instead of a big shotgun approach to here's all the plants all at the same time, I'll just focus in on one at a time, and I'll actually learn what they are called. Maybe. No promises. I showed my sister a photo when it came in. I was like, look at all these. She goes, oh, what do you have there? And I go, I have no idea. I don't know their names yet. Some of them might not survive. Well, I'll learn them if they do. If they can live, I'll learn what they are. She referred to that as a trial by fire, and I went, yeah, kind of.